Hello, my name is Silveroxis, and this week's unit coming to Octopath Traveler COTC is finally, after her delay, Throné, the Master Assassin who's seeking freedom. She is also known as the Queen of Daggers until Kaine shows up. So moving on to who she is as a unit, she is a thief. Her main role is a dagger DPS. I mean, she can be a dagger breaker, but she's just better off being the DPS and letting Canary break. Her special abilities is that her latent power is the same from Octopath Traveler 2, is that she allows her to choose when to double cast the skill. So this is both good and bad. It's good in the fact that she can, double cast whatever she wants, but then it's also limited because it has a cooldown. Some of her skills also gain extra benefits the sooner she acts in a turn, and she also always crits broken foes. Her preferred weapons would be Fortune Daggers for max physical attack, or Cosmic or Brilliant Daggers for damage cap up, depending on the skills you choose to take. And preferred accessories would be damage capping, increasing accessories, physical attack up gear, and then if you are using her as a breaker, then breaker gear. Since if you don't have Canary, she can be useful as a breaker with her high hit counts as well. So her passive skills... so yeah, she is a dagger DPS. So her first passive is that she just has 30% dagger damage up. This is great because she just always has max damage up for passively, so she doesn't need accessories to raise that or anything else. So good passive. Her 3-star passive is also very good. She has dead aim and 50,000 damage cap up whenever a broken enemy is present, which is when you're doing all your damage. So that means she can hit a little bit higher cap, and she's always hitting criticals, so she's getting closer to that cap even more. Very good, very good. And then her latent power is, as I said before, is it lets her cast the selected skill a second time this turn. Second use does not consume SP. So this is very good for many reasons, because this is customizable. Basically, this is double cast on demand. It's very good. It's just the only issue is that it's a cooldown. It is an initial cooldown of 3 turns, which means you can't use it until turn 4. But you don't need a double cast that early anyway. But then she can't use it again for another 5 turns after that. So it is only 1 turn of double cast. So if you're nuking with her, she's going to double cast 1 turn of break, and then the other best option is probably her ultimate attack for a 5 hit. Still good though. So for her active skills, her base is she has a 3-hit single target dagger, 3-hit single target dark, 1-star 2-hit single target dagger that absorbs 30% of damage dealt as HP. It's kind of thematic because she had that in Octopath 2, and this is also the skill that she teaches to Sail, or Saul, depending on your translation. 2-star skill is she has a 3-hit AoE dagger that will also restore some of the SP used based on when she acts. So she was first to go, she gets 60 SP back, second 40, third 20, fourth on nothing. That is total turn order, not just your turn of units. So if the enemy goes before you, such as when they come out of break and always go first, that will affect skills like this, so just keep that in mind. So this costs a hefty amount of SP, but it's basically if she goes first, a 14 SP 3-hit AoE dagger, so, decent. Other 2-star skill is that she can debuff the enemy's physical defense and speed by 15% for 2 to 5 turns. And then she also has a classic thief skill, a 3-hit AoE dagger that lowers shields regardless of weakness. Basically, that's her shield shave skill. It's the only one she has, but it's still good if you need her to break shields. Her 4-star skill, she has a 3-hit AoE Dark that at max boost inflicts 1 stack of missed physical attacks debuff. This is a new debuff. Basically, this just has a set of stacks that go up to 9. And for every single stack that an enemy has of this, they will just automatically miss their next physical hit that they attempt. It's basically guaranteed blind, but it'll take the stack away. So this way you don't need to worry about setting up dodges on your own team or anything like that. They will just always miss. So this is a useful skill for enemies that have really dangerous single target hits. They'll just always miss. So if they have a big nuke coming up that does a lot of damage, you can just guarantee they miss it. So that is very useful. Just keep in mind that like if an enemy has like a high multiple hit count, like for example the new Delsta 120 that hits you 9 times with her ultimate attack, this stack would literally only take off 1 hit of that ult per stack that she had on her. So just keep that in mind. Still useful though. Her 5-star skills, she has a 1-hit single target dagger, but that the faster you act, the more potent it is. So this is just a single hit, 2-hit if you double cast it. So like the base power doesn't seem that great. It upgrades in power to base 230 instead of 170 at 6-star, which she should release as 6-star. So basically it's up to an 800 power dagger hit, because it's double cast 400. I mean, that's fine. It's going to slam damage cap, so it's not that great, but it's going to do a lot of damage if she happens to be there, like as a breaker for some reason instead of her main dagger DPS, which I wouldn't do, but you can. Her TP skill, this is probably her best skill in her kit. She has it's a 3-hit random target dagger with a low chance, 25% chance to inflict 15% dagger resistance down for 2 turns per hit. The gimmick to this skill is that the earlier that she acts in the turn, the more hits that it gains, becoming up to a 6-hit dagger, which then double casted would be a 12-hit dagger. But keep in mind that if you're using her as a dagger nuker, she will be going second, because that way Solon will be able to give her his buff. So this will effectively just be a 5-hit dagger. That's absolutely worth the trade-off, though, by the way. But that is very good skill. Plus, you know, active dagger rest down 15% is great. That stacks to 30% instantly with Canary, and it's just really nice to have. So moving on to her EX skill and ultimate technique. Her EX skill has 2 total uses. It's unlocked from turn 5 and onwards, and it's just a 4-hit single target dagger. And if she attacks first, she'll also regain 2 BP. It's useful. If you decide to make her your dagger breaker, for example, then like you could use that to break it, BP back, and then nuke. You can double cast this to make it 8-hit single target dagger. It just has higher base potency than the TP skill, but properly buffed, the TP skill is still going to be better for nuking. And then for her ultimate technique, it's obviously a damage class ultimate, so it takes 4 BP to charge from level 8. It's called Shadow Raid, and it's a 5-hit single target dagger that just increases in power based on how early you act, up to 2 times stronger when attacking first. Base power 5 times 75, and it scales up to 5 times 90 at ultimate 10. Her ultimate can't be double casted, so this is actually her best other nuking option to throw out on the turn of break you do not use her latent power on. So whether she's going first or second, if like for example you're having Canary break, it won't be 2 times stronger, but it'll still be decently buffed up, plus the 50% potency from Canary, so that still works. I would say for the priority of this, I would still A1 her first. If you get extras after A1, if you're not going to chase her A4, more on that later, then ultimate 10 would be nice, just to be able to use her ultimate twice. That's kind of just like an up to you thing, but regardless, I would still take A1 first, because the base physical attack matters a lot. So moving on to Awakenings and her A4 accessory. So as for A1, like I said, she's a DPS. All DPSs love A1 for that 50 base P attack. A2 is honestly luxury. You might like the extra skill slot, but she's fine with just 3. Like you could throw out a couple options every now and then, but she never needs 4. A3 HP is always good to have more of. You know, things hit really hard. If you're going for the A4, A3's on the way. I wouldn't necessarily chase A3 just for A3 at that point, though. And then her A4 accessory are the Night Drop earrings. They give 60 P attack, 80 speed, so not the best stats, but the abilities are actually what's the decent thing. It grants a permanent 15% physical attack up, so that's actually pretty good because she doesn't have init-based physical attack up, so if you're running her with Bargello and she had her A4 on, for example, that would just be boom, 30% done. So it is good for a lot of DPSs that want to have that, especially if you have DPSs that have the passive cap extension up, so it's a good A4 for that. Then the other main ability is that whenever a breaker uses this, when you break the enemy with this accessory, it inflicts 1 stack of missed physical attack debuff. This is actually pretty secretly good. I would actually rate this A4 as like as an A tier A4. It's not game changing or anything like it, but it is very solid because like when your breaker is a 6-star, this slots in great for physical fitting foes because if you're not one breaking a fight as a 6-star breaker, you probably have extra accessory. That extra accessory slot really helps. So if you had this, you could throw it on, which will then now guarantee that if you're not one breaking an enemy, when they come out of break, they're gonna miss their first attack they swing at you if they're physical hitters. So this is really good to like help you survive to get to the second turn of break potentially on some fights. And it also works great, like I said, on any DPS that needs more passive P attack because it's permanent. As I said, it's not game changing, so I wouldn't necessarily. This is not a drop everything and chase A4. It's more of a convenience if you decide to, you know, go for a pity and get a little bit of luck, or you could exchange over time if you really wanted. But I wouldn't. It's not super high priority. It's just solid. So for an optimal skill layout for her, as I said, her best skill is her TP skill, because it's a 3-6 hit dagger. If you that can lower dagger resistance. It's good for shaving shields. It goes up to a 12 hit if you double cast it. It's just like I said, if you're using her to be your Dagger Queen until Kaine releases, then it's only going to be a 10 hit dagger because you're going to want to soul in her. So just keep that in mind. Skill 2, 3-hit AoE dagger that also debuffs physical attack and physical defense to cap the debuff. Apologies, I did forget to speak it earlier, but like her 3-hit AoE 5-star skill, I did forget to say that after the single target nuke, if she attacks first, then she can cap physical attack down, physical defense down buff. So depending on your setup, if she's going first, then you can use that. Then I would also recommend taking your 3x AoE Dark for inflict miss physical attacks if necessary. And then another skill that you can switch around or have with A2 would be her 3-hit AoE Dagger that always reduces shield points as needed. Generally, multi-hits are always better, but slot in the single-hit nuke if you need it. If someone else is nuking harder than her and she just happens to be there, that's an option. So for unit synergy, this is where it gets kind of interesting because like until Tiziana releases, you're going to want to have Bargello for his active damage up and damage cap buffs, plus passive to boost her passive P attack. Soling gives her potency, as I explained. When you boosting her TP skill, it'll only be 10 hits instead of 12. But that's absolutely worth it to get the potency up. Also, depending on enemy weakness spread, if you don't want to use Canary, to make sure Throné goes first for other things like that. Or for other things like that, you could also have Solon be your breaker with his Swift Strikes ability if they happen to be weak to Spear or Fire. But Canary actually goes very, very well with Throné because they can cap each other's debuffs to 30%. Even though Canary goes before Throné, you'd want Canary to go before Throné because of buffs and stuff like that. You could make Throné faster, except for whenever Canary wants to break with her ultimate, which is fine because, like as I said, Throné you're gonna do that. And if you have Canary break to get the 50% potency up, like that's going to be great for her ultimate still. Like she doesn't need to go first. So it's going to be, in reality, not that big of a deal. Throné goes second to Canary. So they work great together because they can cap physical defense down to 15% to 30%. They can cap physical attack down to 30%. They can cap dagger res down to 30%. It's just a good combo. I don't think I need to explain to you guys why Signa is just an amazing unit on any team. So I'm just going to move on. I actually think Nefty is a sleeper pick because since Canary can now both be your breaker for dagger and a dodge tank due to lack of dagger res down if you have the taunt pet or a Dea A4, because honestly dagger res down is kind of rare outside of Canary's A4, Sonya A4, and that's it for now. So because of that, Canary usually has the extra accessory slot if needed to help her be a tank if you want for dodging. So because of that, you could potentially run Nefty instead of Premi X, and the reason why I say that is because Nefty can cap active damage up 30% by herself when she has her cheer on points, but it also cap with Bargello's. Once she has 5 cheer on points, which she gets relatively quickly thanks to her global buffs, that she can also do active damage up to get Throné to 30% active damage up. It will cap Bargello's, it will not stack duration, so you will need to plan that out. And she also gives the up to 15% ultimate attack up, as well as a little bit of a weak regen passively just by existing, which if you have Canary dodge tanking and the enemy you're fighting is not like super heavy on AoEs, that could be enough. Other than that, you can still take Prim X because, you know, Prim X is great for the ultimate buffs and regen as needed, but Nefty just might be a sleeper pick to get that damage up. Sonya is also obviously great as a thief for helping to shape shields, plus her ultimate inflicts dagger res down is very, very useful to set up for nuking. Alright, so to pull or not to pull, plus her overall rating, I'm going to be real, I love Throné. She's my favorite Octopath Traveler unit by far. I've been waiting for her, and I'm going to pull for her, period. On her release, she is the Queen of Daggers. She is the hardest hitting dagger unit in the game by far. Or, I mean, well, technically, Bargello hits harder, but he only has 2 hits. Throné's doing a 10 hit from with Solon, and so that's a lot of damage. But then the only issue with Throné is once Kaine releases, Throné gets benched and never to return because there's just no reason to use Throné over Kaine at all. Kaine is just better than Throné in like every way, unfortunately. But until Kaine comes out, Throné's great. She's really, really fun to use. Her gimmick to having to go first, in all honesty, is like not a big deal. She's fine going second, except for like one skill, that gives you that extra debuff, which is kind of easy to play around, honestly. You lose 2 hits on her TP skill if she goes second, which is a perfectly good trade-off to get potency up. But regardless of that being said, if you should pull on her based on her tier play, if you love her like I do, you should pull and have fun regardless of this advice. But if you're a tier 4 player, you should just skip. She's great. Wait for Kaine. Low spending her passes, same reason. Wait for Kaine. If you're a Dolphin, you can skip. But, you know, if you don't mind spending, if you're like a little spending a bit or whatever, and you want to have some fun now with Dagger Queen, then you get up to A1. And then if you're a Whale, yeah, A4 ult 10, max her out for max use. Her Havor is very solid. You'll probably find use on other units to cap passive P attack. And, you know, ult 10 because you can use her ult twice for like longer fights and stuff if you're going to use her for that. So overall rating, I will say for like a DPS, due to the fact that it is a 10 hit and it damage cap up and other things like that, guaranteed crit, her damage is S tier for DPS. Her support I would put as a B+ tier. You know, missed physical attacks has its uses. She can do a couple debuffs. So like, you know, she has some support options that she could help out with, and it is very useful. So no healing or tank options, and so then overall as a tier placement at this time, I would put her as a solid A+. You know, so not a must pull unit, but you know, she's solid. She'll get the job done, and she is very potent for. I mean, at least she's very potent for at least a few months. Because she has a good, solid life leading daggers until Kaine releases, and because like the next roadmap comes out in April, until we see Nier 2 on the roadmap, Throné will remain the Queen of Daggers. So if you need someone to lead your dagger content until Kaine, consider picking her up. If not, that makes sense. Hoard your rubies. This is not a must-own unit, but she is a fun unit. But otherwise, I'm been Silveroxis. This is another unit review. Please let me know down below if you decided to pull for her, go for her, or whatever experience you have with her. I look forward to reading any of those comments. And if you have any suggestions for guides or other videos you'd like to see, just let me know down below as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Please like, follow, and subscribe for other COTC content in the future, and I will see you all next time. See ya.